Selectmen meeting April 17th.
Thanks for coming over to tonight's meeting. The first order of business is the acceptance of the April 3rd, 2013 minutes.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any questions on it at all? Tom? No? No? Okay. Senior Senator Management Reports. I left both of those with you, one for the municipal agent, one for the senior senator.
In our box.
In your box.
I didn't go to the box.
Okay.
No, you don't have to read it.
Okay, no.
I'll get it right after you.
Basically, it's a continuation of the activity, and more attention is being given to the physical condition of the building as it's aging. We had some department, I asked the Department of Health people to come in and take a look at the mouse situation, and we put together an agenda for about half a dozen different things that we can do to do a massive cleaning approach, if you will, which would involve trying to isolate some of the conditions that may cause some deterioration. So I think we're on top of it, but we really need to pay attention to it.
Are we going to have to put any more resources towards it?
No, I don't think so at this point. We have some money in the capital plan for the outside, for the.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about cleaning.
No, not really. It'll pretty much all take care of
okay.
Maintenance. If it does, if it looks like we're putting out some estimates, it looks like it's going to be more. We'll just have to get another grab out of contingency because it has to be done before July 1st.
Which is what's July 1st?
Well, that's when the budget.
Oh, okay. So nothing's happening there.
No.
Okay.
And with the municipal agent for the elderly, their state's starting to put more pressure on more regulations. We seem to be okay. Mark's staying on top of it. He's trying to stay balanced with keeping those folks aware of what's going on. It seems like it's working pretty well. Anyway, both of those reports will be in your boxes. The Committee of the Civic Pride report. I met again with these guys individually by accident and reinforced the fact that it would be great for them to get together with the River Days people as we approach the June 14th, 15th 100th anniversary of the bridge, and they are going to do that. And this evening, I'd like to talk to you a little later on about the possibility of asking the Lions to perhaps in some way sponsor or support the kind of activity that
I've already brought it up to them at our last meeting.
Good.
So in conjunction with the Haddam River Days, because the Lions want to have more of a presence at Haddam River Days.
Great.
And I brought up this group and how the two Haddam River Days in this group may be interacting, so the Lions are interested in getting involved.
Fantastic. That's really great. Good.
At what level, I don't know, but they are interested.
Okay. Well, these guys are going ahead and putting together some blocks for the flags themselves, so they can make some presentations, which I think is really a healthy thing to do. Here again, the minutes will be in your box on that. Regional District 17, Steve is not here. As most of you know, they came down from the increase that they wanted to a 0% increase for the budget. And what that means to us is about 4% increase based on the 58% of the kids that we have. Our Selectmen's budget has been moved around a bit with regard to the cuts that were made and the adjustment for some of the debt service for the transfer station, and so it looks like we're going to be in pretty good shape going in. I don't have the finals from Georgia yet, but they are far better than they were the last meeting that we had. So
well, see, you know, just because it's being recorded, you want me to explain when we talk about a little bit about when you said increase, or I don't know if everyone knows what the ADN is.
Please go ahead.
Can I explain that?
Sure.
The reason, even though we get a zero budget increase from the Board of Ed, the actual increase of taxpayers in Haddam is going to go up because we pay the budget, the school budget, in conjunction with Killingworth. and we pay based upon what percentage of students Haddam has versus Killingworth has. So I think it's steadily increased for Haddam having more children in the school than Killingworth over the last, I think, 10 years. And this year it jumped up to now Haddam pays 58%, Killingworth 42%, which is a jump of a percentage from 54% to 46. So even though the school department has not increased their budget, Haddam is going to pay more because we have a higher percentage of the students in school. And
So
also wanted to point out, besides the difference between the selectmen budget and what Board of Finance may approve. Because you said selectmen's budget.
That's correct.
So we get, people who don't know, we present a budget to the Board of Finance, but the Board of Finance has the ability, it does change, increases, sometimes decreases, and changes what we suggest. So what will eventually come out of the Board of Finance will be a combination of what us as selectmen presented, and then what Board of Finance has ultimately determined should be the town's budget.
Right.
Okay.
And it looks, as I said, it looks a lot better than it did 2 weeks ago. So we're kind of hopeful that the key is, in the mill rate, right now it's 28.99. Our tax list is down, well, it's up a smidge, but it's down from where we thought it was going to be by about $1 million. So there's going to be a fractional change there. But overall, considering it's not bad. Now, we still have the state to worry about. Okay, they are still moving things around. And right now, we don't have any pilot. Pilot is being tucked into ECS, the educational cost sharing. And when the educational cost sharing does, it's not dollar for dollar. So if we put $10 from pilot into educational cost sharing, we end up with perhaps a $6 or $7 credit, because much of that ECS fund was going to urban schools.
Right.
So,
You went up to Hartford
Yes.
last week
Yes.
for the
there's the CCM.
tax, the property tax, the car tax.
Yes, I did.
What are you feeling there?
My comment to to Don Williams, who was at the Senate Majority Leader, was I said, Senator, how close to the graveyard is the car tax? And he said, well, it's not really close to the graveyard at all. We're really considering this, and there's a lot of support for it, in the Senate. And about that time, Larry Cafaro and said something like, "Whoa." He said, "Excuse me, that's not exactly." And then they were discussing the matter. Okay, so I'm led to believe at the end of the day that it does not look like that's going to take place this year, maybe not even next year. There is some attention being given to the fact that it is an inequitable tax, and I think it's something that ultimately will be done about it. But it won't affect us. Definitely won't affect us this year, and it may not affect us next year. So that's the bottom line on that. There is a possibility that we might get some of that pilot back. There was a really good case by a lot of people, a lot of towns that were heavily hit by the pilot reduction. Towns like Summers, who has prisons up there. So there's a possibility we may get some of that pilot back. So the revenues can only get better, from the state at this point. So we might, there's a chance in the next couple of weeks we might get lucky. Okay, any other questions on the meeting at all? Okay, we have some correspondence. The ARC of Meriden and Wallingford is going to have their annual motorcycle ride again. And we've been supporting this every year, signing off on it. The route is, did you get a chance to take a look at these at all? Okay, well, I'll just
discuss it. Yeah, we're
okay, but anyways, from Research Parkway, and it goes all the way on down through 68, down to 148 through Chester, and it's the same route basically that they had last year. Follows them up to Civic Bands, onto Research Parkway. So it's basically in Haddam. Our exposure is basically 154, 148 down on that area.
And what's the date of that?
The date of that, thank you, Alice, is Sunday, August 18th. So I get your approval to go ahead.
They go north or south of 154?
Take left on
They go back.
They're coming from 148, now I know they're back.
They want to go
Right.
back, okay, yeah. I can see that.
I'll make a motion that we,
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Special Olympics motorcycle ride. Okay. Okay, this ride originates in Clinton and is supported by the Clinton Police Department. It travels through Westbrook, Deep River, Chester, Haddam, Killingworth, then ends back in Clinton. The routes utilize Route 145, 80, 154, and Route 81. It's a fundraiser, and it's fully chaperoned by the police motorcycle units. In accordance with DOT regulations, they need a permit and they need us to sign off on it.
what's the date?
The date on that one is May 19th, Sunday, May 19th. And the entire ride should last only about 12 noon to 1:30.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, okay, we got to say some bridge repair projects that are coming up, and there's a notice that has been sent out by DOT, which we are releasing, which has to do with the bridge work and any closures that might be consistent with that. In Haddam, it's Route 82 over Ruth Hill Road. Traffic control personnel assigned patterns will be utilized to guide the motorists through the work zone. The regular work schedule of the project is Monday to Friday. Shoulder work may occur between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Limited lane closures are scheduled between 9 a.m. and 3. No lane closures will occur during Memorial Day weekend.
What route in that?
It's going to be over Route 82 over Ruth Hill Road.
Ruth Hill Road is in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, well, it's Route 82 over
There's no
the...
state highway up there.
Well, it's, Ruth Hill comes down though, doesn't it? It comes down where it's off of
I thought
82.
Ruth Hill went between,
I thought it was behind Haddam Pizza.
Yeah, it's over Route 9, it's the Route 9 bridge, Route 82 over Ruth Hill.
oh, that? Then
Must be doing
working on
connector?
the
Yeah,
grass, they
yeah.
gotta do some more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's
They're not gonna
notification,
close it.
but
They're
no,
not
no
gonna completely
closures.
close it.
Yeah,
That's wide.
It's not
through
a
there
minute.
anyway.
yeah,
What?
That's wide right through
Yeah,
there.
right.
yeah. So it was just a notification from them. Additional transfers, we don't have any tax refunds, we have.
Yes,
We have a capital.
yeah, additional.
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Yeah, this is coming up, thank you, this is coming up on the town meeting on Thursday. This particular one is to reallocate capital plan funds from item 1790-300, which is the PWB Public Works Department snow blower, totaling $21,000, and also to reallocate from line 1790-300 a power tractor with a snow blower totaling $11,000 for a grand total of $32,000, and that's going to be reappropriated to create a new line titled All-Wheel Truck Drive.
This is from which budget, 2012?
Excuse me?
It's last this year,
Right.
yeah. And this was discussed with the Board of Finance, with the Phil Golf at their discussion.
So it's past us, we're not, it's already to the Board of Finance?
It went to the Board of Finance, it's coming back for us to make the
Says town meeting?
exactly.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So we're coming back to us as a town.
that's
I mean,
correct.
So this is tomorrow night.
That's
There's
right.
an-
There's-
That's right.
There's two of them there.
We don't
Just
vote
do
on
it.
any.
No, but the other one we've already voted on.
Yeah.
That's the IRS $35,000.
That's gonna be part of
That's
town
tomorrow
meeting
night.
too.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night also.
Yep.
Okay. Now, tax refunds. Alice, how your eyes tonight, want to do this?
Sure.
Thank you.
You're Byron?
There's five.
Try it. The
Uh,
fire truck.
The first one is a supplemental motor vehicle tax for Brett Hoffer, Hofer, for $342.35. Looks like it was a duplicate bill. The next one is a motor vehicle for Brett Hoffer, $447.61. Duplicate bill. Kelly Cote, C-O-T-E, $8.28 for a supplemental motor vehicle bill, excess payments. Edna Ann Baldwin, motor vehicle, $80.80, excess payments. Federal National Mortgage Associations for real estate, $2,260.64. It was a duplicate payment. That's it.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion to accept those?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. All in favor? Great. Thanks. We have no resignations this evening. We do have an appointment for the Conservation Commission. In a letter of thank you from Gail Reynolds. Please reappoint Gail Reynolds and Marty Hanson, the Alessandro, to terms on the Conservation Commission. Please contact discussion. These terms are, do we have the terms on those, Alice? 5/1/16.
Right.
5/1/14, 13, 5/1/16.
They're 3-year terms.
How long has Gail been doing it? She's been doing it for a long time.
A couple terms anyway, that I know of.
Ed?
Motion to accept?
Ed, how long has Gail been doing that?
I'm sorry?
How long has Gail been doing that?
Quite a while.
I think more than 2 terms, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When I was on P&G, she was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Great. Old business, we've been pretty much in contact with everything that's been going on. Budget's been overtaking us pretty well. The pharmaceutical program is up and going. I got the first report. For half a month, we saved, was a 9% savings.
Cumberland?
It does cover census, yes, it does. And it does. And veterinarian bills.
I'm just
And
asking.
veterinarian-
I'm just curious.
Yeah, veterinarian prescriptions as well. Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
You know, we've been, it would be interesting, we'll follow this on a month-to-month basis to see, see how, what goes on with that.
Anything else?
Everything else, you're absolutely right. With regard to new business, we've got some economic development activity going on. We've got the subway, looks like it over on 154 is being picked up.
Well, that's going to be next to the...
Next to Dunkin' Donuts.
That's it.
Yep.
They're going to put a new building in,
Yep.
construction?
Yep.
Okay.
There's a well driller right there now.
Is
Sorry?
that?
The guy who's drilling a well right now.
Is he good?
Yeah, but it's always, yeah, I noticed there's activity, but there's usually activity there. That's the same people that wanted to go down
No, this
the
is,
package store, and then also, I mean...
this is Ralph Lobanelli.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And the convenience store and gas station are going in as we speak. They passed the Chatham Health and State Health for the wells. That's over on 154, going toward the E2 connector, on the right hand side. The Rossi property, they've made their plans, and there's going to be a meeting, I believe, that's spearheaded by some of the local business people down there to get to kind of talk amongst themselves as to what may go in there, what's going to go in there, so everyone is aware of the situation.
Each other?
Each other, yeah.
EDC?
EDC is peripherally involved with it. I haven't received any of the notice on it yet, but it looks like a member of Pagan Vision Group is setting it up with some of the business people. I suggested that they do that with EDC to keep them in the loop. But
Anybody from like P&Z or anybody?
I know I asked Liz to keep an eye on it, so she'll probably be looking at it. So that's moving along anyway, and that's about it for new business. You guys got anything you want to discuss or talk about? Okay. All right. I think it's public comments tonight.
I just have one because it's springtime,
Please identify yourself.
and you just approved 2 motorcycle rides through Haddam. And I don't know if you've tried to sit down anywhere at Haddam Center in the spring and the summer and relax. and have your ears pierced by the open mufflers from those motorcycles. I know it is against the law, but it seems to be totally ignored for one reason or the other. I don't know what you could do, send a letter to the Arc of Meriden and the Special Olympics and say that Haddam expect the motorcycles to have mufflers when they go through the town, or at least have somebody downtown when in the evening or in the weekend, maybe have the state troopers out there and try to discourage this, because with 81 being such a stretch, one lane and a straightforward stretch, it really makes a terrible noise.
Do you have any specifics, Ed, that, any particular complaints that have been filed? Well, this is the first time I've heard this.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
On the Arc, specifically in Meriden and Wallingford, this is their 6th year. They're going to be using the same route. And the route consists of taking from Research Parkway, and this one is not in the, this is in August. And
Well, you can, I mean,
Should I call
we
you?
can assume some people do not like it. I mean, that's obviously not everyone's gonna. But it is during the day. It goes right by my house, right by my, I mean, it's loud, but my kids and I get on close, we like watching them go by. But you
What
know,
I'm saying is that-
assume people don't
right.
like it. Some people don't
I mean,
like
not only they don't like it,
Yeah.
it's against the law. I mean, if it's something illegal, somebody should enforce it at some point or another. And I don't know why the state is not enforcing it. Maybe it's a state issue, maybe not a town issue.
Well, these are chaperoned by the police, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't.
Yeah. Like I said, this is the first I've heard of it with regard to any noise. A couple of years ago, there was a little, before it was Duffy's, there was a bar across the street from those apartments, and they had some motorcycle activity there, and we heard some, there was some complaints at that point. It was about 3 or 4 years ago.
But that was most likely late at night.
That was late at night. Right.
I'll call you up.
I don't know why.
I'll call you up. I'll have you for a beer down at one of those bars. You can sit with me for a few minutes. You'll see.
Okay, well, are there fumes? Are the fumes
It's
also?
not a fume, it's just a noise.
Just the noise.
It's loud. It's loud.
You can't talk.
You know?
It's loud. My kids like it.
I think it's a nuisance in town. If you want that center to be attractive, something's gonna have to be done. I'm just telling you.
When you talk about these two particular parades, you're talking about other motorcycles and stuff like that.
I'm sorry?
You're talking about these two parades? or
No. I'm just saying
Motorcycles in general?
In general, especially downtown.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm
You
just
know what,
saying,
we are having, well, we could possibly tie in some type of study, Ed, because we are having some increased police activity, which I was going to mention to you separately, but since you're talking about it here, we will have some increased speeding police activity in coming up over the next several months in different unannounced areas. So we may be able to tie in some kind of supervision on that kind of thing as well. I'll look into it.
all right.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, miss.
I do. I'll stand over here so people can see me. I have 3 questions or 3 comments. One question on expenditures. I missed the meeting where they discussed the assistant finance coordinator, the 18,000 that they did add back into the budget.
Mm-hmm.
What does that person, what's the role of that person? What do they do?
Well, to fully facilitate and assist the finance director in many of the volume of work that's required to process the department. And that could be, and there is a ton of nitty-gritty work that has to be done, and that's that person's job to help assist her to do that.
Okay, so it's, so the finance coordinator job position there's too much for.
Yeah, the work is there's
Okay.
overload, yes.
2 issues on the revenue side. I did talk to Liz Glidden today about the permits on the property, the Joe Fest property. There were permits, legal permits for them to use all 3, technically, all 3 properties. There's one little piece and then the 2 big pieces forever, pretty much, since the beginning. In 2009, I went back and looked through 2007 and 2009 planning and zoning minutes. You were on one of the, I think 2007 you were on P&Z. The 2009 minutes, there were some interesting developments where it was one of the lawyers for WFS, it might have been Terry Loan, who said that that permit was not renewed. However, because their appeal, they were allowed to use the property, which we all know. They were allowed to legally use the property. You cannot stop a business from using it until they go through the court process. So therefore, even though there wasn't a legal permit at that point, their old permit still stood. So technically, they still had the legal right to use both large parcels for a sand pit. So I'm just updating you to that fact. So they should have been taxed then from 2010.
Okay, now, last time we spoke, you were going to talk with the assessor and see where she was with the review of that.
I did talk to her the same day I talked to you. I talked to her earlier in the day, or the day before, and she said she wasn't sure that she was going to do anything. And then you had suggested that I go talk to Liz just to make sure those permits were in place, and they were sort of kind of in place, not really, but they were legally able to use the property.
Well, as you can appreciate in going through it yourself, the quagmire that it really was with regard to the what was being done, what shouldn't have been done, what permits were there and were under appeal.
It was a mess.
And then the legal expense back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
But at some point in time, there had to be a decision as to what the taxable status is on that, or should have been.
Right.
And if I hear you correctly, we're close, you talked to the assessor, and she is close to doing that.
She didn't know. She still has not given me an answer, and she was really busy with something else.
Yeah.
I will revisit that again with her now that I know about the permits.
Okay, now, did you mention to her that you're doing this for an article?
Oh yeah, she knows from the beginning, yeah.
Okay.
From the first article I had done when it all came about, and I said I was going to do an update, but she said she wasn't ready. So I respect that, and I'll hold off until we have more info. I do want to add for the record too that Vision Appraisal was the one who went out in 2010 when there actually was a legal right for WFS to use the property.
With permit or without permit?
Well, they didn't have a permit, but they were allowed to legally use the property because we denied them the permit. But they appealed that in the court, or they took us to court over that. While the case is in the court, they're still legally able to use the property. So technically, Vision should have picked that up 2010. And that's 40 grand.
You're saying Vision should have picked up the fact that
or whoever went.
You're saying the Vision should have picked up the fact that they're, even though there wasn't a permit, that they were legally allowed to use the property, and therefore should have appraised it based on that legal.
She's saying that pending litigation,
Yeah.
the ability to use the property changed.
Yeah. And actually.
And this was during the reevaluation?
Yes. This is actually, there's two issues here. There's legal right to use the property, and then there's just somebody using the property. If Vision or whoever, I don't know if the assessor, I don't know who physically went to the property, you could, I don't know again how the process works with the assessor or with Vision, if they showed them where the pins are to the two big parcels. The Waller property is completely bare. There's trees down everywhere. There's sand all out of a hill that wasn't supposed to be touched. The neighbors up near WFS said, oh no, they don't have a permit for that property, but they actually did in my research. So if Vision or whoever, their agent, went there to assess the property, that would be a question in my mind, I know, if I was an appraiser, to see, okay, well, here's where the Lenz property stops, and here's where the Waller property starts. The whole hillside is gone. So I guess I would question, all right, well, they're using the property. Maybe I should see if they have the legal right to use it. And if they aren't, they're using it illegally, then, there's a...
I wonder how deeply, and it's a good observation, but I wonder how deeply during reevaluations, where you are doing a physical study of the physical appraisal of the entire town, do you make those assertions into the legal status of something if there is no permit? In other words, I just wonder if I'm doing an appraisal as an independent appraiser for a reevaluation, and I'm looking at paper and locations, and I'm saying, okay, fine, here I'm assessing that there's no permit, and so I wonder if any of them really do take that second and third step.
Right. Well, I have an answer to that, I think.
They came to my house.
Right.
Well, that's...
I received it.
Right. Well,
Yeah. So they must be, but it's a good question of what, because
What do they
pay
check?
them. We pay them, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's an understanding of what
Yeah.
level to which they do the work.
Yeah,
You know, or are they expected to do that, or are we
Yeah,
expected to give
yeah.
information?
yeah.
And that was a very good question, I don't know.
Yeah.
But what happens is when Vision Appraisal does their end of the job, and it might have been Marilyn who went there, for all we know, because she did do some of it, I think.
Mhm.
That should kind of overlay what Marilyn does. Now, when Marilyn gets the numbers from Vision, she would say, okay, lot 20-1, they have permits used as a sand pit. Lot 20-2, she should know somehow about the court proceedings and the problem. Maybe there's a disconnect between land use office and assessor, but she should have the information that they have a permit or were legally able to use that property. So something happened there. And also that goes into my other second issue is I hate to bring up the land swap again, but the Clark Creek and the property down in Tylerville, that was also missed by Vision Appraisal. And I told you on the phone about another personal house where the guy actually missed his whole garage that he parked his truck in front of.
Yeah, on the land swap thing, that in itself is whole thing is up to suspect with regard to the evaluations and you know, A, the purchase, B, what it was assessed for, and C, what the EEP thought it was worth.
Right.
So I mean, so you got a lot of action going through there.
But, I mean, it was black and white and yellow from the Yellow Book appraisals done by two of the top appraisers in the state of Connecticut, one of whom teaches appraising. In fact, Marilyn is going to a school in June for their appraisal school. And one of the professors is this guy who did the appraisal here. And I can't remember which one it was, it started with an M. But anyway, so my issue is both appraisers, independent appraisers, found the property to be worth over $1.5 million. And we still have it down as 400. Now I know, the reason why I thought of bringing this up, because you mentioned we were getting pilot back, maybe getting pilot back. I think if, and I know we only get a small percentage, but if that ever changed in the future, I think we should have all of our land, all of our state forests valued as high as we could have it valued. So instead of just saying, oh no, it doesn't matter because we're not getting anything for it anyway. I really, that's $1.3 million that we're missing out on for assessment.
Yeah, there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot of different assessment types with regard to open space and different lands. As far as the state goes, for all of that land, everything that we got, from them, I think, I don't know what the number is, but it's less than $200,000. I mean, for everything.
Yeah, I think it's like, well, I think it's like 120 or 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
But just for the record, I want to say it again, is that I think that it's a little odd to see land that's sold for $1.5 million, and that's obviously up for, debate, but also the fact that we had two Yellow Book, these are strict appraisal rules done on that property.
Okay, just to be clear then, so I understand, we have a bunch of issues floating around here. The one issue that you were concerned about with WFS, you have talked with the assessor.
Yeah.
Okay, and she has taken under consideration.
I'm going to add to that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, is there a geographic concern that you have that I'm hearing?
You mean a larger issue with, say, Vision or with
anything?
No, I just think that that's too big, large, expensive piece of property. In fact, the WFS property sold for $1.2 million. It's not even assessed anywhere close to $1.2 million. So again, that's a sale versus assessment issue, but I think that that's a lot of money. I mean, you're talking $40,000 just from the sand pit alone when we spent $200 whatever for the legal, dealings with WFS. That's at least something we can get back. If they're, using the property for a sand pit, they should be taxed, the property for a sand pit.
Well, as I said, the assessor is looking into it.
Hopefully, she will, yeah, she was still unsure.
And you did mention to her what's for an article, so therefore, she's aware of the fact that whatever she says to you is going to be in print.
Yeah, and I told her I'm not going to do it now, just wait until she has a chance to look at it. And I'll show her, I'll show her the numbers.
Yes, in order to make the article complete, you should check the lawsuit and the settlement of the lawsuit to make sure that may have been covered.
You mean that they weren't allowed to use it?
No, the assessment and the taxes.
Oh,
just to make sure that that wasn't part of the settlement.
Yeah.
She could be.
Because all of the suits, all of the appeals, all of the
everything was resolved.
Was resolved.
Right.
Everything
I looked at the the report, well, I didn't specifically look for that, I was just reading it through, so I'll look for it, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I'll look.
it was an omnibus kind of
Yeah,
resolution.
there's a lot of moving parts to it.
To make sure that.
Well, yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on what it says, where it goes back to. Is it starting from January 1st,
Right.
2013? And then they have
That's
future, I
correct.
think it's about the future, has nothing to do with the past.
Yeah, just check that.
Yeah.
She might not have.
Well, to the degree that it forgives, and I should say forgives, to the degree that it dismisses the quagmire that's going
Right.
on, you know.
All the
way
legal
through,
stuff.
all the way
Yeah,
through.
right,
Yeah, that's
Right.
going forward.
yeah. Okay, well, I will follow up. I guess I kind of was looking for a little more help than just me being Joe's citizen, you know, trying to do all this work. And yes, I write for the bulletin, but I feel that something is missing, that I should, if I go in there even as like a, you know, just a citizen of Haddam, if I ask that question.
Well, you know, to the assessor's consideration, she had been working on this and was aware of the situation long before, not long before your concerns came to the table. So she was aware of the fact that there was an inconsistency and, well, you know, was looking at it. So your timing's really good, and I sincerely hope that she gives you the information that you need
Yeah.
to, you know, do the article.
Yeah.
And it does warrant, you know, certainly scrutiny.
Well, yeah, and for me, it's a larger issue than the article. I mean, it's just a philosophical, I mean, they were using property that they shouldn't have been using, but they were using it for this. I mean, that would send a message to everybody, just to build a house in the middle of the woods, don't get a permit and they won't tax you on it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. You know, what's really, what I found extremely interesting is that the assessor is responsible to the statutes.
Right.
Okay, now, even I, as well to any of us who try to influence anything, will come up negative, because we have no influence on what they do with regard to the
No,
statutes.
understandable, yeah, and that's good that they're.
And that's the same thing with the tax collector.
Right.
And that's right, and that's the way
Right.
it should be.
And Marilyn did say that when she looked at the statute, she could go back 3 years, and that's where I got that number from Marilyn herself, and reassess somebody 3 years in the past, prior, 3 years prior, so.
Unless there are reasons that are stipulated that you can't. So that's
Yeah,
why,
and I
that's why
hope
your
that's-
suggestion to look at the
Right, I
lawsuit.
hope it's not in the
is good.
stipulation, because
Yeah.
that would be, to me, that's a tough one to swallow, but I will look and see if that's in there.
Yeah. You know, I always, in some of these cases where you get so deeply involved, and I try to personalize it much. If somebody came to my house and said, you know, you really, that's not your house, or you can't have this type of activity at your house, or and then you go back and forth and try to establish that you can. And the question is whether you can or can't. It's up in limbo.
Right, but they did have a permit for it. See, they did have permission to use it. In fact, the year, my point, I guess, is it should have been being taxed when they did have the permit before we didn't give them the permit.
Yeah.
It should have been taxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right.
That's
Well,
it.
keep us posted, will you?
Yep, thanks, guys.
Anything else, guys? That's it. You got it. Thank you. Thanks very much.